Good morning. I'm standing here with our police commissioner, with some others you hear from, obviously the majority leader of the city council, Tasha Diaz, and this is a very, very important press conference for us. It's something that you're probably dealing with all across New York State these days, and it's something that we're dealing with here, especially in our city of Yonkers. You know, we're standing in front of 186 Ashburton Ave. This was a smoke shop that was shut down in October, and this particular one has not reopened. And we're responding to many of the community complaints, and we're trying to be very, very proactive in dealing and trying to have a widespread inspections of these facilities that are popping up, frankly, all over the city. But it's become like the Wild West. Wild West out there. And here, some of these smoke shops have reopened, despite our best efforts. The products are still being sold, and we're finding the products in bodegas and barber shops too. This is what we're addressing here today. We are not against the sale of marijuana. We know it's legal. But not one store in the city of Yonkers, not one store in the city of Yonkers has a license to sell it. And in the past 6 months, we've completed 24 inspections throughout the city. We've confiscated thousands of dollars of illegal, unlicensed, and unregulated products. And still, we are running into complaints from our residents and from business owners, in our neighbors who are seeing this, our neighbors who are seeing all this happen for themselves. Because of the lack of regulation and licensing, we've had to take matters into our own hands. And we've created, and the police commissioner will talk about this, a smoke shop task force with leaders from our police department, Consumer Protection Bureau, and the Department of Housing and Buildings, and our fire department, working with our police department. And in the past 6 months, we've shut down 4 shops, but it's not improving, and we need help. That's why we're calling on the state of New York to enhance their regulations. On the southwest side, the signs in one shop, you'll hear about it, they weren't even subtle. Clear plastic bags, plastic jars, right there in plain sight, filled with cannabis. On the southwest side, there was a shop with a hidden room inside it with various cannabis and nicotine products, and we shut it down because they were selling to kids. We shut it down because they were selling to kids. And we have shops that are operating near schools, and the substance, they're clearly being advertised, targeted to our children, wrapped with images of cartoons and neon colors looking like candy. We don't know what's in these substances. And we have been lucky, it's safe to say. There's been no tie to fentanyl, but are we going to wait until something potentially fatal happens? Because every day, our police department is administering Narcan to people who actually use illegal products in this city, and that's been something that we continue to work on. This impacts not only the quality of life, but it's a public health hazard. And we've been working around the clock. We're looking for different ways to try and offset the fact that New York doesn't have adequate laws to protect us. So we look at building and fire code violations. We want our smoke shop to know that you're on notice. You know, if you're selling beer, if you're selling cigarettes, you're not going to get away with this. The government would make sure that we pay the taxes. The government would make sure that we don't sell the SLA, which, by the way, the Office of Cannabis is not a part of. Has a lot more teeth in its law. The state ought to take the cannabis department, ship it into the SLA, maybe even change the name of that. But get teeth, get licensing. we want to make sure that they know that they're on notice, and talk a little bit more about what we're doing. I'm going to ask our great Police Commissioner Sapienza for a few remarks and to tell us what's happening. Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. Under the direction of Mayor Spano, we have sought to close down smoke shops who have used their business as a guise to sell cannabis products. It is still illegal to sell cannabis. You can't do that. It's not licensed, it's not regulated. So what we're seeing now is you have a vape shop, you have a smoke shop, but now they're also selling other products. Sometimes they're selling cannabis products. Sometimes they're selling THC 9. Sometimes they're selling THC 8, which is even Delta 8, which is even more rampant and unregulated and dangerous. There could be heavy metals. There could be byproducts. There could be arsenic. This is what we're seeing popping up. And these type of products look like they're marketed to kids. They have colorful packaging. They have colorful candies and gummies and stuff like that that might be attractive to kids. And what we're concerned with now is that some of these products not only are in smoke shops, but now they're creeping into bodegas, they're creeping into gas stations, and they're even more readily available than they ever have been. So my message here would be, if you're going to open up a smoke shop for the purpose of selling marijuana, don't do it in Yonkers, because we will come in. If appropriate, we will arrest you, we will confiscate your illegal products, and we'll shut you down using the task force.
Thank you, Commissioner. The licensing is extremely important. It's what protects our kids. It's what protects our community. It's something that we require. It's not just to raise revenues, guys. It's to make sure that whatever's being purchased and whatever's being distributed is done so in a responsible manner, and that it's not exploiting any particular group, especially our kids. I'd like to ask the council majority leader to come up to the words. She's worked very, very hard with us. We recently passed some local legislation. We're waiting for a public hearing that has to follow the passage of a local ordinance that they were able to pass, strengthening up our laws, giving our cops a little more teeth. We're looking at other ways that we can change laws here to keep up with the many changes that are happening up north from our friends at the State House. And so what we're going to do is, so I'll ask our council majority leader just to say a few words. Tasha Diaz.
Good afternoon. As the mayor and the police commissioner stated, businesses such as these that come into our communities and plague our communities and wreak havoc on the residents that live here will no longer and not be tolerated. They gear these items to young children that they are not giving a chance to live in a community that they should be living in and thriving in. So as the mayor and the commissioner said, it stops now. This will no longer and not be tolerated here in the city of Yonkers.
Thank you, Majority Leader, and thank you again to the members of the City Council for your swift action. And I know that we'll be giving you a series of local changes and suggestions that we're going to make locally, but we're also going to, again, continue to call on the state, the Office of Cannabis, to promulgate rules, to move this process along, to get the licensing done, to maybe take this and merge it into something that's more like the state liquor authority, because it has more teeth and more accurate to enforce. I have with us today Stephanie Whitman, okay, Dr. Stephanie Whitman, who's a medical toxicologist with St. John's Unified Hospital.
Good morning, everyone. So the reality of the situation is that anytime there's a financial incentive to produce something in large quantities, in this case cannabis, safety measures tend to fall by the wayside. We know that cannabis is sold and distributed and consumed in a few different forms. There's vaping cartridges, there's edibles, there is the traditional dried plant. And I'm sure some of you remember a time right before the pandemic hit when young adults and adolescents were being hospitalized because of this severe lung injury and breathing problems due to the vaping cartridges. And this isn't because they were buying the vaping cartridges from regulated shops. This is because they were buying these off-label, off-market, illegal vaping cartridges. And this risk hasn't gone away. When you talk about edibles, even, for an expert like me, I can't tell the difference sometimes between traditional candy and these edible packages. It looks like, traditional candy, a snack, regular food, and the safety mechanisms that are in place, the child lock mechanisms when these edibles are being sold unregulated are not up to par. And we're seeing children come into the emergency department because they're getting into them. Okay, it's concerning. And there have also been studies done and lab testing performed on the plants themselves, unregulated versus regulated, and they're finding things like heavy metals and unregulated pesticides and microbials like bacteria and fungi that can make you sick. And the reality is that if you are buying unregulated cannabis products, you're putting yourself at risk, and if you're selling them, you're putting people at unnecessary risk for financial incentive.
I think that says it really says it all. Thank you, Doctor. It tells you our concerns. A lot of concerns, and like I said, the concerns start with the fact that it's just not being regulated, and the local municipal governments like ours don't have the teeth. There's not enough teeth in the law that allow us to do what we need to do in a consistent manner. But we're going to be vigilant. We're going to continue to forge ahead, and we're going to continue to take this, the best police department we have in America here, and do the things we need to do. But resources start to stretch thin as challenges continue to mount and changes are made, and we have to deal with those. So with that, again, I just want to talk a little bit about I'm not going to talk about. We'll talk. I guess we'll talk about that other bill that the council passed another time. I could talk about it, but I kind of took up a lot of the press conference. So let me just go a little Q&A. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on this that these licenses have been slow to come in, and that we've seen these come in. So is that part of the problem that they're not working fast enough, and there's a high demand for these products?
Like the mayor mentioned, if you open up a barber shop, you need a license. If you open up a bar, you need a license. If you open up virtually any business in New York State, they're either regulated by the state itself or by the Board of Health, or in some cases, the State Liquor Authority. But what happened was there was a push to decriminalize marijuana, which we're not saying we're for or against, but what we are saying is that once you do that, you have to have these other mechanisms in place, and that wasn't done.
What specifically needs to be straightened? You're talking about adding teeth, and why are these smoke shops being able to reopen?
Because there are no business license to sell marijuana in New York, other than New York City at this time. To the best of our knowledge, only a couple of licenses have been issued. So the smoke shops that we're talking about here in Yonkers that are selling these products, they don't have a business license. They don't have a license to sell marijuana. So ordinarily, we would shut them down on that basis, and it would be very simple. If you were selling alcohol and you didn't have an SLA license, we would shut you down. But in this case, we have to be a little more creative and see what else is going on at that business, and we have to just use any tool we have at our disposal to shut them down. So we don't have that same ability. With the State Liquor Authority, if we have someone who's in violation, not only do we have more tools, but they'll actually come down and help us shut a place down. In this case, we have no one to call with marijuana.
How many stores have you closed down in Yonkers?
So far, we've closed down 4 off the top of my head.
How to be proactive in a neighborhood? Say I'm walking down the street and I see this store selling all this stuff. What do I do?
So the thing is, when you see one of these shops, there are, for all intents and purposes, legal smoke shops out there. But you have to pay attention to is what they are selling in there. If there's something that looks like cannabis gummies, if you notice that the door is locked and maybe there's a buzzer system to let you in or something a little that seems a little off to you. But what happens is when we have a place that we suspect might be selling cannabis, we'll we'll actually inspect the business. And if we inspect the business, that either tells us right then and there that they are legitimate, or it might prompt us to take further action and seek a warrant or whatever else we need to do.
Can you elaborate
You know,
about this?
if you don't mind, we had a what was the one? So we had someone selling a product. Said we had a detective in. A sale was made to an underage individual. That person was taken from that store in handcuffs and it's reopened. Yeah, it's reopened. You know, because the only key we had was the ability department issues. We don't have the teeth that or the controls necessary to deal with the unlicensed. That's insane. And we're the troops on the ground. We're the ones fighting the war on the front. We're on the front lines, and we're trying to just protect our community and enforce the laws as they exist. But give us no key, give us no support. It's not going to be that good for the people. We're asking for some help, and we're also sending out a message that we're going to continue to do what we need to do to protect our community, no matter what the rules are that come at us from places up there.
Mayor, are you saying Albany is not listening to you and your concerns here in Yonkers and statewide? Are they not hearing what's happening?
Well, I think that the Office of Cannabis has got to get off the stick and get to work. This has been a law for a while now, and so what is the hold up, and why is it that you only see a couple of licenses come out of New York City? This is really important that we get this right, and I don't want to wait till we're holding a press conference here because we have a dead kid on our hands. And why should we have to wait for that day? Let's get on the stick and get it right, and we can.
Is the governor aware of all the problems that are occurring right now?
We will continue to make the state aware of it, to make the governor aware of this. The governor has been a good partner for us. She continues to be, but at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're calling on the Office of Cannabis and we're calling the state legislature to enact some teeth. Give us the controls we need. Again, you have the SLA, which they'll tell you they had the teeth to do the job, and they'll even come in here and help us enforce the law. They'll come down here and help us get it done. You don't have that with cannabis. I don't understand why. It's the same type of product. It should be pretty much the same.
Do you think this was a mistake in the overall rollout of this? Do you think this was a mistake by state regulators in rolling out and not being prepared?
I just think that the environment, the political environment, has driven the show lately and has said we're going to legalize cannabis, and I support that too. But we can't really do it without having the complete picture. And so I think it's been compromising at that level, and that's the area we need